Hi, everyone. I'm Michael Manrique, and I'm one of the Habit Guys. We teach realtors prospecting habits so they finally become top producing agents. And welcome to the Realtor Habits Podcast, where agents don't need more stuff, they need better habits. Before we get into today's episode, I want to let you know this episode is brought to you by our free Habit Guys Facebook group. We all want to prospect consistently and be more organized. Well, to do that, we need to think, do, and act like a top producer. Watch us prospect live and teach you every week for free in our free Facebook group how to get more expired listings, FSBOs listings, how to connect with your sphere and past clients, learn what to say over the phone to not sound salesy, and instead make friends. Watch the highs and lows that come with prospecting and get to ask questions in real time and get those answers right back. All you have to do is visit us at www.habitguys.com/Facebook. Again, that's habitguys.com/Facebook, and learn all the skills top producers use in their day-to-day business. If you know anyone that can gain value from this podcast, please do us a huge favor and share it with them. We're here to help as many realtors as possible, and we appreciate your help to do so. All right, let's get into today's episode. Today's episode is called Prospect with Leverage, an interview with Veronica Figueroa. Veronica Figueroa is a true luminary in the world of real estate. Veronica has established herself as a respected leader in the industry. In 2022, eXp Realty recognized Veronica's exceptional contributions. They bestowed upon her the title of Woman of Influence. What sets Veronica apart is her remarkable ability to lead, build, and empower her team. Under her guidance, the Figueroa team achieved the number one team status of most homes sold at eXp Realty in both 2021 and 2022. Veronica's leadership isn't about sales, it's about nurturing and guiding her team to success. All right, let's get into the episode. All right, Veronica, welcome to the podcast. So I'd like to start going way back. Or maybe not so far back, but let's go to that moment in time where you made the leap into real estate. So for most of the people listening to this podcast, they had a job. They had a 9-to-5 job where they learned the identity of an employee, right? Consistent structure, consistent paycheck, consistent output leads to a result. And then all of a sudden, they're like, oh, I can't do this anymore. I want more. I want financial freedom. I want to create my life. I want to take control, right? So they think real estate. Oh my God, real estate is the way. I see everyone doing it. I see it on TV, my friends, my family. So they make the jump, right? So talk to us about that experience for you. Did you have an employee like relationship? Did you work a 9-to-5 job in corporate America before making the shift to a real estate agent?
Yeah, absolutely. So first of all, thanks for having me and happy to share. I, like many of the listeners or other agents out there, had to start somewhere. And I was working full time as a human resources manager for a company. And it's what I thought I wanted to do. It's really what I thought I wanted to do for the rest of my life. You know, I had dreamed of getting into that role and I worked my way up. And then I realized, man, most people don't either retire and they don't die. So it's going to be really hard for me to get to the top. And here I am, ambitious. I'm, 25 years old, or 24, 25 years old. I've been working in the field for about 4 years. And I really enjoyed it. I love the people aspect of it. I love the development, placing employees into their roles. So thought that was going to be my forever plan or take me to my forever plan. But life happened. I decided, my husband and I at the time decided to get a divorce. I had 2 small kids and I had gotten my real estate license straight out of college. But I didn't do anything with it. I come from a timeshare background in hospitality, and I started actually my career in human resources in the hospitality industry, and then happened to work for a timeshare company in HR. And then I started getting a taste of the sales team on the timeshare floor and the liaison between marketing and sales. So just naturally, it was. I was always curious about, well, let me get my real estate license just in case I want to dabble in timeshare. And because I worked in that industry, I saw, the money that could be made. And if you're a great timeshare agent, you were making great money, six figures. These people were living a very glamorous life. And I had a chance to work the what they call the tour desk. So here's so funny because I know we're going to get into this topic. I was the tour desk manager. So I was in HR and I got recruited from the sales and marketing team. And they wanted someone that had high integrity that could bridge between sales and marketing to basically, if you look at it today, like be the ISA, right? So I was the in-person tour desk manager. So a lead would come in for them to come on board, if you know anything about tour of timeshare, and then they would make sure the person qualified, and then they would send them to the tour desk, and then the agents on tour or the timeshare sales reps would come and complain about the lead. They'd be like, they don't qualify. Their spouse is not here, or they're really married, and or they don't. Da, 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 da. And then I was going like, no, they qualified. They met this criteria, so you better convert it. If not, you're going to the bottom of the rotation. So I was doing that back then. But then I realized it wasn't for me. So an opportunity for human resources came back up. And then I moved to a medicals company doing human resources. Of course, I tied in my real estate, how I got my license. So I didn't do anything with my license for a few years, just because I just got it just to have it, just in case. Never thought I'd use it. And I was like, oh, I was going to use it if I ever bought a house. And I had bought a house at that time. But real estate was not on my radar. It wasn't on my radar at all until I was going through a life change, divorce, and I had two small kids. I didn't want to compromise their quality of life. I had them in private school. I wanted them to be in private school. My son was a lot. I was like, I need to have him in private school. And just with enough that goes on when you're going through a divorce, I wanted them to have a really good foundation. I remember thinking, how am I going to supplement my income? And I had already tried the timeshare thing, and I realized that's not for me. But I learned a lot because I had previously gone through their sales training, persuasive training, just watching the art of urgency and the art of closing. And of course, I understood the amount of people that come in. Obviously, it's more fast. So I was like, you know what? Let me try this residential thing. And I decided to try residential part time. And my first client was my brother and his wife at the time, which that was a nightmare. My second client was my mother. That was a nightmare. And the one that was a nightmare. But I was committed to helping them. And I realized, okay, then I started getting a friend, or then I would go to baby showers because my prospecting was my kids' events, baby showers, birthday parties, and
there you go.
Whatever activities I was doing with the kids, right? Because I was always with them when I wasn't working. And then, of course, my colleagues at work. So I'm a very committed person. Like when I'm all in on something, I'm either all gas, no brakes. There's no in between, or nothing. So in this particular case, I was like, I gotta feed these kids, and I was doing real estate part time on the weekends, during lunchtime, after hour work, and I was just doing as much as I could during the time.
You were showing properties, doing the contracts and all that yourself?
Wow. Everything.
Wow.
And I fell in love with it. I was like, oh my gosh, this is great. So my fifth or sixth month into the business part time, I made like $12,000, $17,000.
Your first month? First month?
When everything started closing, that first real good wave of closings that all piled, I think I made like $15,000 or $17,000. I don't remember exactly what it was, but it was a lot more than what I would make. And it was half my income at the time. I think I was making like $37,000, $38,000 a year. And I said, man, I'm doing this, not working 40 hours a week. Imagine what I could do if I was working 40 hours a week. And, I had a couple more closings happening. By then I had, generated enough business that people trusted me. They knew my work ethics. And, what was really cool is I had a lot of broke friends at the time. And I had a lot of broke friends at the time, and I learned the down payment assistance programs. I learned how to help people get their credit up. I learned how to tell them about programs and affordable housing. And I knew the builders, and I knew what builders were affordable and what closing costs were there. So I started getting really, really good, really, really fast with learning the things that were available for people who thought home ownership was not possible, and me helping them make it possible. And, I have a diverse background. I'm Hispanic. And there's one thing about the Latinos is that they're very loyal. And also, if you do something for them, they're telling their brother, their cousin, their sister, their aunt, their uncle, their neighbor. And I mean, my referral game started popping off. They were like, this is the girl that can make it happen. So my first year in real estate part-time, I sold 24 homes.
Nice.
And I quit my job June of 2005. 2005, I quit my full-time job because I got tired.
How long was that? Yeah, how long was that when you started to quitting your job?
When when I committed, because I think I made the decision in October that I was going to try. I tried the timeshare, and I was like, no, it's not going to work. Then I went quickly into residential, and I would say about 7 months before I finally just took off. Before I finally just said, I'm doing this. I'm going to do this full time. And I was tired of, hiding underneath the desk, trying to hide, and my boss there working, and it just really felt like I was like, I don't want to do a disservice to them and disservice to myself. And I remember calling my mom. She was like, "You're crazy. You have small kids. You have insurance.
Why would you quit?" Yeah, exactly. Typical, mom.
Yeah, she just cared. And I said, "Mom, here's the deal. What's the worst that can happen? I gotta get a job again. I just fall back on my degree. I just start from the bottom up again, work my way up." I was like, I'm not afraid, but I really want to see if I could do this. And that was almost 20 years ago. Yeah, 19 years ago.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So let's kind of fast forward to closer to now. So what philosophy, maybe you have a specific like structure you've designed or accepted for your business practice and how you help others. How would you describe maybe the pillars or that structure?
Well, I learned quickly. I quickly learned the absolutely most important thing about our business, at least one of my opinions, was lead generation. I knew I needed appointments. If I didn't have appointments, I knew I wasn't on track for my goals. So my goal every day was to meet a new person, set a new appointment, and talk to at least 5 new people. That was my goal. Of course, if I didn't hit that goal, then I knew what I was facing, and I then would say, okay, like how do I replace that? What can I do? Am I going to go meet 10 people the next day? So I was always constantly trying to fill up my at the time it was a notebook. There was no CRM.
Cool.
And it was an Excel spreadsheet. I did have an assistant. I hired an assistant within a year, not even a year, maybe a year of being in the business. So I quickly understood lead generation, and I quickly understood leverage. Because by the time I started getting busy, within a year of me going full time, on my wedding, I got remarried in 2006 to my husband. And the day I got married, I had 3 closings. That month alone, I had 13 closings. Never forget. And, I quickly learned the power of leverage. So my assistant at the time, and she's still a good friend of mine, actually, she's one of my expansion partners. She said, "You had me running around with those paper files from this corner of the city to this corner of the city. We're writing contracts in the back of the car because there wasn't dot loop at the time." And it was just all this crazy stuff. But I learned 2 things, generation and leverage early on in my business. And I think that really, really helped me. And then the other thing that I did that was really powerful was one-to-many prospecting. Because the numbers that I had, I remember I have 5 kids. So like everything has to be big for me. Like, we're gonna do big, or we're not doing it at all. So I would always look for opportunities to put me in front of more people. So that was events, that was business owners, that was restaurants, that was places that would have masses, and I would do all my prospecting there. And I would leverage those relationships of the people that had a big influence or audience at the time, such as business owners, let's say community leaders. And then I would volunteer and ask them how I could help them grow their business, how I could help support their mission. So if it was creating a nonprofit, if it was supporting the community events, if it was helping a business grow their business, if it was ordering new menus for them, if it was, I would always try to keep my marketing costs low, but my impact as far as how many people. And then what we also did is we became an experience in the community. So when we were farming, we weren't the boring real estate agent that was just giving away cards. I mean, we had the water games, we had, the 4th of July banger parties with, fireworks, from VIP fireworks from our office that everybody wanted to get into our, at the time it was open bar party. We would do whatever it took. At community events, you could get the game in the cornhole, you're getting a drink to the local pizzeria, free beer, and you made sure the kid got something. So I was constantly prospecting at scale, because one-to-one wasn't doing it. It wasn't quick enough for me. And I applied that same principle throughout everything I do today. So today I prospect for my teams, big institutional accounts, or heavy marketing through the power of social media and influence, and also nurturing our large database with strategies to keep us constantly in front of people and reminding them that we are a trusted source, or a trusted source that they would connect with. So I've applied that, and there's some things that we haven't always done right, but there's some things we've done really, really well. And we mastered the art of, I would say, lead gen. That's something that we just understood then, and we still do today at scale, together with one-to-many critical mass.
I love that. And then quick, just for definition for the listeners, what do you define as leverage? So you said lead generation, right? What's leverage defined as?
So leverage, I don't do the things I will not do the things I'm not good at. And I don't do the things that are not the highest per dollar activity for me. So I knew pushing paper was not my biggest strength, or
That's not mine either, by the way. Yeah.
Per dollar activity. I knew, having an assistant that could, and I'll tell you what I do today. Back then it was picking up my kids from school. It was taking a document to one of my clients that wasn't something that needed me, my license to do so at the time. Whether it was sitting at inspections, it was a lot of different things. It was the things that were not per dollar activities. Because once the transaction, the contract is written, right? Now you're nurturing the relationship. There are some administrative staff tasks that I didn't need to do. Scheduling title, scheduling inspections, scheduling showings, scheduling, anything that was those things. I knew quickly those things were not going to be on that was like, no. I was like, that was taking away valuable prospecting time. That's how I leveraged back then. Today, I leverage in a lot of ways. I don't clean my house. I don't do laundry. I don't cook. Not that I don't, well, first of all, I don't like to do any of that. My husband's a great cook, so he likes it.
Really?
But,
That's awesome.
yeah, he's amazing. But I have a house cleaner. I have a personal assistant that handles my Airbnbs. I have an assistant that handles a lot of other things for me. I still have leverage in my life that others might think I'm lazy. I just am leveraged. I try not to check my email. They check my email for me. And then sometimes I honestly have to just, skim through things. I don't do a lot of things for my business because I have the talent that helps me do that. Right or wrong, sometimes could pay a little bit more than what I should, but it gives me back the time to do the things that I am the best at.
Absolutely.
Gotcha.
Absolutely.
So it's interesting listening to your story, right? Because it sounds like obviously there was some trials and tribulations, but most of the stuff that I'm hearing is success, right? It just builds upon the month that you got married in 2005 or six. You mentioned you had 13 closings, right? So did you ever feel like hesitation, fear? Just approaching these business owners, going to these large events and prospecting. Did you ever have any hesitation or fear?
I felt fear. I have felt unqualified. I have felt like, what am I going to say? Who do I
Right.
think I am? And then, oh my God, I just said all that. I better back that up, And then, I've always operated, in this form of outside outside my comfort zone. I mean, in this mindset of being outside of my comfort zone, but it would levitate me. It would really take me to the next level. I just never wanted to be safe or average. So I just would put myself in really uncomfortable situations. So yeah, just like most people, I have felt fear. I don't like rejection. And again, that's why I found ways to prospect that didn't feel so icky. Like,
Right.
never really got door knocking, did it. Would I prefer to do it? No. But every time I had an open house, I was like, I'm not coming out here just to put a sign in the yard and not meet the neighbors. I would look at door knocking like an opportunity to meet the neighbors. I didn't look at it as a task. I was like, hey, super excited. We've got 123 Main Street. We're getting ready to do an amazing open house experience. We'd love for you to come over. Give us your feedback, the good, the bad, the ugly. Help us pick your neighbor. Sincerely, all we want you to do is just tell us what you think about it and what we could do to improve. Your neighbors are asking you for this, and most neighbors are nosy anyways, and they want to see what's going on.
That's so true.
So like,
Yeah.
we would just make it, but we wouldn't do boring open houses. Like if it was a main house where a lot of kids were coming through, ice cream truck. Hey, we're bringing an ice cream truck today. Come on out. Like, I think, and at where we're at today, and I'm talking to the solo agent or maybe the agent that has a little bit more time to spend on nurturing those relationships. That's what I would be doing. I will say I miss those days because we grew a business to the point that it felt a little bit more transactional. We sold 2,200 homes in 1 year, almost 2,300 homes in 1 year. That became very systematic. And, you do lose some connection when you grow to that extent. And I will tell you, I'm speaking to the agent that still has a very manageable business. If you can create experiences in your community that you're the only, or you're that person that everybody just loves because you just go above and beyond. Like, I miss those days. I really, really do miss those days. And that's how I did it. And I don't know if I would want to go back to those days because I 20 plus years in the business, and I've kind of grown my role into a different role now as I'm building expansion teams. But that's how I would do it.
Awesome. So audience, she was scared. I mean, we talk about this, right?
Right.
It happens to me too. I prospect every week in front of people, and I tell people, listen, I still get scared and nervous, and it's okay to feel nervous, but we cannot let that feeling stop us, right, from taking
and I was
that action.
scared, but then I would find ways to make it fun, to alleviate the
go.
fear, right? It's like becoming approachable and like saying, okay, like, I don't really want to do this, but if I am going to do it, let me at least do it with intention, right? And that's how I overcame my fear.
No, it's funny you said that because one of the habit principles we teach is making prospecting fun. Like how to deal with boredom and how to make prospecting fun is so critical to trick your brain into having a pleasurable experience, right? So that's awesome that you said that.
Yeah.
Love that. Awesome. So in the parting, in the closing thoughts here, a couple of things, and then we're going to ask you, how people can stay in touch with you, Veronica. So closing remarks would be an agent right now with all the changes happening, right? There's a lot of fear in the air right now. The economy is getting more expensive. You hear the news, right? You're not immune to it. Things are getting more expensive. Agents are not making as much money out there. So there's kind of like a divide or a feeling of fear out there. So what would you tell agents right now that are listening, that are just, stagnant at a certain level, thinking about quitting the business or feeling like they can never reach their goals in real estate? What advice would you give them to focus on this year?
Yeah, I really think that if you're serious about this business, you just simply have to decide. You have to make a decision that no matter what the market is saying, that you are going to thrive in real estate. And thriving in real estate is going to look different based on, again, economy, rates, if with some of the changes. But when you make that decision and you know that you're going to be an agent regardless of what changes happen, and you're going to adapt and you're going to be the expert and you're going to thrive even in the midst of all this chaos, you may have to take a step back. We all may have to take a slight pay cut, but those of us who figure it out, this is the most amazing opportunity in front of us, especially, and it's not a celebration, but with so many people leaving the business, it's only going to leave those who are committed in the business, which have an opportunity to thrive. This is where you skill up. This is where you decide, I'm going to skill up. I'm going to learn. I'm going to adapt. I'm going to look at my financials and see, hey, if the market does adjust to how we get paid, how can I still frame my financial, my life